happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Inta gave me a tour. She showed me how this company operate.
Our business is really about trading direct to consumer, and when it comes to Tastytrade, our consumers are all individuals. Some of them are high net worth, but there are some with not very large portfolios. But the idea behind the business is that you can empower that retail customer, give them great tools, give them great education.
Let's live Chicago. We're in a Tastytrade company, and I'm with my friend Inta from Kellogg School, and she'll share her story in our vlog. Inta, welcome to my vlog.
Thank you for having me. I hope you had a good tour so far, saw things.
Yeah, it's so cool to see how people in sexy industry make money.
Sexy industry.
Now everyone about finance. Even in Kellogg, everyone who came to Kellogg
Yeah.
probably wants to work in finance.
Yeah.
Inta gave me a tour. She showed me how this company operate and how they. I was still thinking it's something similar between Bloomberg,
All right.
X Capital, no X Capital, Billions.
Billions. Okay, so Billions is a hedge fund. Which is trading on a different level. Our business is really about trading direct to consumer, and when it comes to Tastytrade, our consumers are all individuals. Some of them are high net worth, but there are some with not very large portfolios. But the idea behind the business is that you can empower that retail customer, give them great tools, give them great education, so that they can do these things for themselves, that they don't need expensive portfolio manager. They can make those decisions for themselves and for their risk tolerance. And we can hold their hand in the process of that. So the Tastylive part, the financial network that you saw where all the content side happens, that is the driver for that confidence in trading.
And first was Tastytrade or Tastylive?
So Tastylive came first. Founder Tom Sosnoff had just sold their first successful venture. I'm not going to say first successful venture, but like the first known to us venture, Think or Swim, to TD Ameritrade. He stayed in that business for a little while to just smooth over the transition, and then he felt like he wanted to bring something new to the market that didn't exist. So it started as a fun content, education, and they're looking ways how to monetize it. But in the end, I wasn't here at the time, but the business settled on really providing all content or all education free of charge, because then that was helping our other business, Tastytrade, engage and retain the customers who were actually trading, and that's where we can make money in several ways. I can take you through that. And what we see now through data is that people who come and trade, who are viewers of Tastylive content, they stick around longer, they trade better, they get better results, and so the lifetime value of that customer is significantly increased as well. So, yeah.
How old is the company?
2011 when the Tastylive came to be. Yeah.
Got it. Let's back in time
Yes.
and let's talk a little bit about you.
Yes.
I know about your experience to live in UK. Can you tell us a little bit where you're originally from?
Sure.
And what you did before you came to this company?
Sure. Here comes my story. I'll try to make it as brief as I can. So I was born in Latvia at the time when I was still in USSR. So hello, comrade.
Actually, Inta only first person and not that many people from other part of the world in Kellogg.
Yes, I think so. It's a little bit off the beaten path, isn't it? There's people from other states, and like South America is widely
a lot of from
represented.
South America, but not from East Europe.
Yeah,
not that many.
yeah. Well, here we are representing, hopefully making a good
Yeah.
example. So I was born in Latvia. I lived there until I was 18, 19 actually. Have both parents, went to school, did well in school, wanted to be an engineer or a doctor, applied to both schools, got into both, didn't know, couldn't decide. Then went to a biotech school to become bioengineering grad. And then a year into that journey, sort of felt like that lab life is not for me, and I just needed something a little more social. So I didn't drop out. I took a break to travel and see what else is out there. Went to England to visit some friends, got stuck, stayed for 16 years.
Wow, 16 years.
And basically, whilst
London or some different?
it was in and around of London.
Okay.
I think for a lot of people from America, anything within like a couple of hours drive is London. So you could say it that way, but Greater London area mostly. During my first year there, whilst I was just going to travel, I got anxious about losing time. So I went to business school and got myself a comms degree. And I think in the 3 years that I was there at first, I think I built a little life there, and it sucked me in. So graduated into post-2008 crash, terrible economy everywhere, including UK and London. Sort of got some unpaid internships at PR agencies in the city. How long can you do unpaid internships? And sort of just had to go back and do my university part-time job on a full-time basis. But it happened to be I work for Domino's Pizza. I think some of you might have heard about it. A franchise office in Hertfordshire in England. And it so happened that in the shop that I worked making pizzas, also the owners had like a little corner office, and they were relentless in building their business. So as they were building their business, they needed more people. They were very much all about getting cheap talent where they could find it. So I got an opportunity to help them with some administrative tasks, was working on some regulatory compliance for them, making sure that their drivers are safe to go out on the road, and then doing some more franchise operations. We're buying more stores in different counties. So I helped them set those up as I was running the store as well. So it put me in a good position to like really learn a business. And through that, I found a gap in HR, and I started specializing in it, finding some cost savings there. As for a small business, you know, like every penny matters. And over the time, just the business owners, they found a trust in me and sort of allowed me to run with it, for which I'm eternally grateful. But that set me up in a position where I could continue developing, and wasn't making any money, but I had all the freedom in the world. And so when I eventually felt like I couldn't develop any further in that business, that's when I stepped out. And so my next gig then ended up somehow being in insurance broking. So that's how I got to financial services. I kind of went from being a big fish in a small pond to like a really small fish in a really large org, or so it seemed at the time. But again, at the time it was a small team, and I was able to expand beyond my responsibilities. And that has been the story throughout my career, actually. I got an opportunity to do something. I saw an opportunity to help the business create some value, and that allowed me to progress and grow in seniority, develop as a person, and make more money in the end. All of us want to do that. So immediately before coming out here, I was leading HR operations for insurance broker. I'd say it was a consolidating business, so we were backed by private equity. We're heavily acquiring brokers in the different business lines as we're trying to complete the offering. So say people normally think medical insurance, house insurance, car insurance. There is insurance for everything. We were insuring political risk. We were ensuring marine and vessels. But the greatest experience there was because we're acquiring so much. I was really involved with the acquisition process and really integrating the businesses. So when I came over to the US, that was, I think, the key skill set that attracted this company to me, that experience of bringing cultures together and getting most out of people for the business. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, what make you decide you want to be in HR?
It found me. I didn't think I wanted to be in HR, but I really saw a way to help the business and help the people have meaningful, good employment whilst helping the company grow. And I think too often people think like those two are mutually exclusive. I think that's a very outdated view, outdated way to view the world. I think what's good for one is good for the other. It's just that there's a fine balance that you need to implement, and there's some certain processes that needs to be followed. So say you want to reward people well, but you also need to keep them accountable. Reward without accountability is actually really detrimental to the business. So that side.
What is the three key points for HR in the company? Like, it doesn't matter you do that or how you see this. If someone starts a HR department, what is the three key points what they need to focus on? Fire people, fire people, fire people.
Shock horror. I didn't expect you to say that.
One of our cohort guy told me, I do restructurization. I said, okay, what do you, how many people do you
Yeah.
need to fire?
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, sometimes it's a necessary part of the business life. But I think even if you don't have HR department right now, Roman, I don't know if you do have HR people, you the head of HR. So the priority of HR is to make sure that you understand the business goal, you understand the strategy, and then you build the people, system, process, culture, everything around what's required to get to that business goal. So I would say it starts with the leadership. So it starts with you.
Leadership. Mm-hmm.
Good, verified, simple processes that get people in and out, but actually also get them through their working lives from their day to day. Because it's not like you hire a person and then they live their life. You have to make sure that day to day, those touch points with internal systems, that they're good, you get the goal setting, etc. And I'd say for you as a new business owner, invest in system and process, like get technology to do things for you. Because if you don't invest upfront in automating some of these items, whilst you think like, oh, I'm too small, it's not a good value. Before you know it, not having technology actually prevents you from growing. So if you want to scale, you have to make sure that you build that foundation that you can scale on.
Foundation in technology, leadership. Tell me something more. What about coaching? You said coaching. I was like, oh, it's interesting.
Well, coaching is, I'd say to me, coaching is not even necessarily a leadership skill. I think all of us in the business world trying to do a good job need to have some sort of a coaching skill. Every conversation that you have with either your direct report or somebody in another team, obviously everyone in your business reports to you in some way, has to be a coaching conversation. How you coach them, whether you lead them on, whether you show them, whether you try to get the answer out of them, that will depend on where they are in their development journey. But coaching is essential to getting a job done.
I think about coaching. Sometimes you see people, you want them to be a leader in your company, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes they don't have enough skills.
Mm-hmm.
But usually it's soft skill, and you can probably develop that stuff.
Oh,
but
absolutely.
you don't know to push on people because you know if they're comfortable to be in the leadership position.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember the guy who said in our class? This probably was a favorite what he said. If you want people like you, they will never respect you.
Yeah.
And sometimes people don't understand that you can't be likable of everyone in a company. You need to be just be strict sometimes.
Yeah. I don't know if I completely agree with the point that people can't like you.
No, you don't?
I think, to me, the nuance there is you don't strive for people liking you. You strive for respect. You strive for being strong leader. You strive for clear communication. Explain people what you want from them. Give them support and resources that they might need to do it. And with that, people will respect you. And if they don't like you, they might as well suck it up, frankly.
What do you think it's, you said like, builds the foundation, but this foundation, when company grows, is this possible to build without bureaucracy? Or if you get in bigger bureaucracy, it has to be present in a company?
That's the question of the hour.
I hate bureaucracy, that's why I asked
Well,
this question.
yeah, so that's something that we're really trying to unravel now with our business. You know, Tastytrade got acquired by larger global business. And on a global scale, we are working through how do we unravel some of the bureaucracy that happens in a global team, and then how do you match that with the entrepreneurial spirit that happens here? And I think it's possible, but what it takes is for you to always go back to your customer and remember who your customer is. It's that, I guess it's product management thinking. What is your product? What do you sell? What do people that you are serving need from you? And if you are facing external customer, sometimes it might even seem easier to figure out than when you're actually serving internal customers. So say in HR, my department has both internal and external customers. So say any candidate who's applying, we need to make sure that our company brand is right for them, that their comp's right, that we position that role right with them. Their journey through the interview process is nice. We're actually competing with some really big names on maybe not that big of a budget. So there needs to be something that really entices them. And then there's internal customers, hiring managers, existing people in a business. There's no end to it. So you always have to, when you put process in that's supposed to help you scale, I think where I've seen a lot of HR departments fail as well is that they build that process for them, not for their customer. So say I'll put in an HR system in place and I think what makes my job easier, how I can get through the churn of whatever volume of activity that I have on the most simple operational level. But then you sometimes don't realize what work it creates for, say, revenue generating centers in a business. And you just need to keep reminding yourself on that and keep checking in with your customers, seeing what works, what doesn't work, read and iterate constantly.
How different UK from US in this industry? More regulated, more strict?
I will say US is way harder to do business in, way harder.
Really?
Yeah.
Harder for employees or harder for employer?
Employer.
Really?
Yeah.
UK more
UK is much easier.
business friendly?
I would say
That's
from
almost
the
socialism. Like,
socialism. I will say from the perspective of someone whose business it is to make sure we can employ people and get the job done. The amount of like tasks that government takes on in UK that US government has tried to delegate to the business in the US was pretty outstanding
Yeah.
when I first moved over. I've adjusted, but to this day, I just have to think like, how do we think it's okay? It's a lot that is required from a business. When you become like 100 people strong, you start getting hit with audit upon audit, regulation upon regulation, and
Wow.
it's good that government wants to check that employees are treated right by the business, but some of these activities like how we regulate healthcare, for example, I don't know that it should be down to business to begin with, but we're at the risk of entering political conversation probably here, so
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, let's move to Kellogg story.
Yeah.
Why you decided you need this executive MBA program?
Well, I moved, and then one of the reasons was I wanted to find a network here. I left a pretty successful, well-connected career in the UK, but my roles were never truly global, so I didn't have connections around here. So moving over for love was very much a step into unknown, and I was afraid that I'd feel disconnected and it would take me much longer to sort of regain levels of confidence. So that was a very important reason why I did it when I did it. If you step back to think why MBA to begin with, it's sort of always been a pipe dream. I've looked at it intermittently, years and years in advance, and it's always just felt like something so extraordinarily expensive and something that I'd never be able to do because I hadn't really realized that you had these executive courses that you can still work and study at the same time. It was always sort of these full-time programs that I looked at.
By your expectation was similar what you're getting right now in Kellogg? Or you think should be better or?
Oh, it has been amazing. It's been really, really hard because what I didn't appreciate, well, first of all, it was maybe more work you had to put in outside of the class than I thought I could. I remember myself being a bit of a slacker student, but always being able to get away with it in undergrad. But my brain was melting at first, and I remembered that I've never done maths in English, for example. So that was like additional learning on top of the learning that I was already kind of struggling with. And my brain was already on fire because I was trying to learn my job and understand how I can be productive and basically pay my keep whilst trying to do that as well. So there was a lot that I was starting at the same time. In hindsight, it would have been nice to not have to do those things at the same time, but it was sort of the only timing that I could do it in. So I just decided to go for it, and I'm really grateful I did. People I've met, there are some friendships that have been built. They're just forever grateful.
Nice. What is your favorite class so far?
Ooh, I actually really like
the
the relationship management class from the previous. It wasn't a curriculum class, it was co-curricular.
Mm-hmm.
Because I find in every business, basically relationships are what makes people help you when sometimes their plate is full, but you need to expedite something, or you need someone to help you with a perspective. Relationships are important, and that's maybe something that I know how, but as an introvert at heart, if I get busy, if I start feeling overwhelmed, I sometimes turn inwards rather than outwards, searching for help. So those reminders and tips and sort of perspective on how to approach these relationships in the business, that's really helpful. And I'm sure most of us will have a story about something really challenging that you've gone through with a person that you have to continue working with. You just have to work through it. So I love that. I'm like, there's also the class that we did as an elective, Winning with Networks. So it's in a related area. And that was Professor Wang looking into science of how networks exist in the nature and how that can be applied in a business to grow your business. Yeah, so that was great.
Favorite professor from these classes, right?
Well, isn't Peterson like everyone's favorite professor? I keep referring back to Peterson Says.
Okay.
I remember when Peterson told you about this. He's just so impactful as a personality, and there's so many great people out there. But the amount of care that that man takes in people as individuals and how much effort he puts into connecting, I've never experienced anything like that. I just hats off to that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great person.
Yeah.
What about your favorite book? Not from Kellogg, in general.
What book? um,
A book which changed your life or changed your thinking.
book which changed your life. I have not read anything outside of like the business books or Kellogg curriculum for quite some time, but I do like to buy books to put them in a list so I can read them later. So I have quite a list. I'd say one of the fundamental books that I used a lot in one of my previous jobs actually, and it's Kellogg gave us this book just now, Good to Great. If you're really starting from scratch, how do you make your business perform better? It gives you like a blueprint for it. How do you manage performance? How do you set goals? It doesn't mess about with it. So I think it's a really nice framework that you can use. And it looks at a list of companies who have been able to sustain and continuously grow performance over time. Yes, they're all very large companies that have been listed that these people look at, but I think it's still really, really useful. And then take that framework, make it your own, make it fit for you and your own business.
Do you have any big dream?
I would like to also come up with a big idea and run my business. At this point, I don't think I'm ready with the right idea, so I keep looking.
I wish you good luck with to find your idea and start your own business.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time. Chicago, West Loop, Tastytrade, Rooftop, Kellogg, 2024, history. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.